Joining me now to explain more, your favorite lawyer. Yes, indeed, he is back. Article 3 project founder, Mike Davis. Mike, thanks so much for being back on the program. We've really been looking forward to going over everything with you that's been happening. First off, Trump legal team was in court today in Florida to argue the legality of Jack Smith's appointment as special counsel. What can you tell us?
Well, it's an interesting argument because under our Constitution, you have to have officers confirmed by the United States Senate. So the Attorney General of the United States is an officer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the people who work in the Justice Department under the Attorney General or the Deputy Attorney General or an Assistant Attorney General or a U.S. Attorney, those are Senate confirmed positions. And those Senate confirmed officers have to supervise these employees. Well, with this special counsel, it's not even a creature of statute anymore. The independent counsel statute expired, and so you have this special counsel office that was created by fiat, by regulations. And the problem is that the special counsel is not properly supervised by a Senate confirmed officer like the Attorney General or a U.S. Attorney. So it calls into question the constitutionality of Jack Smith's appointments to handle these prosecutions against President Trump.
Okay, so one of President Trump's attorneys, argued that the Justice Department risks creating a, quote, shadow government through the appointment of special counsels to prosecute select criminal cases. This seems like a prime example of that practice.
It is, and that's the problem is these special counsels get appointed. They have these unlimited budgets, essentially. They have unlimited nationwide jurisdiction, unlike an assistant U.S. attorney who's in a district, one of the 94 districts around the country that's supervised by a United States attorney who's confirmed by the Senate. The special counsel, you bring in these partisan hitmen, these political scud missiles like Jack Smith, and they spend tens of millions of dollars and many, many years going after the regime's political enemy, like they've done here with President Trump. And this whole system is unconstitutional.
All right, and meanwhile, we're expecting a decision in the presidential immunity case from the Supreme Court also this week. Very busy legal week. Should we read, Mike, into anything as far as the timing goes with all of this? I'm just throwing it out there. And the Supreme Court is also nearing the end of the calendar for decisions for SCOTUS's term.
So the presidential immunity case, whether a president of the United States can be indicted and tried and put in prison for his official acts, not his personal acts, is one of the most important Supreme Court decisions that we'll ever see in the history of this country. Because if a president can indict his predecessor based upon what that former president did as the president of the United States, you're going to destroy the presidency and therefore destroy our country. And the Supreme Court understands how important this is based upon the questions that the justices asked during oral argument. For example, Justice Kavanaugh asked what the Article 3 project's been asking for over a year now is, can President Trump order his Justice Department to indict and prosecute President Obama and his legal advisor at the time, David Barron, who's now a federal appellate judge in Boston for capital murder for their extrajudicial drone strike on 2 American citizens. They didn't get a court order. Obama just ordered it. And his Office of Legal Counsel, legal advisor at the time, David Barron, now Judge David Barron, told President Obama that he could do this. So can President Trump charge him with capital murder? Can President Trump charge President Biden with the natural and probable crimes that results from his illegal mass parole of 10 million illegal immigrants into our country, these unvetted and unvettable fighting age men who are coming into our country and raping and murdering and kidnapping and torturing Americans? Can President Biden get charged for those crimes? Can President Trump charge President George W. Bush for his reckless reliance on weapons of mass destruction, which led to millions of Iraqi deaths? Where does this end? And I think the Supreme Court understands that if we don't have immunity from criminal prosecution for the president in his official capacity, not his personal capacity, you're going to destroy the presidency and destroy the country. Judges are immune from criminal prosecution for their official acts. So are members of Congress. Why the hell would the president of the United States not be?
Okay, so, and last week, New York's highest court dismissed President Trump's appeal of the gag order imposed in his Manhattan criminal trial. So is this a sign? I know, I see your head shaking. Is this a sign that the appeals court will show some measure or level of hostility to the appeal on file, of the conviction, regardless of the merits?
There's no question that these New York courts have been politicized and weaponized by these Democrat hacks in robes. That's particularly true of the New York Appellate Division, which is like a DEI clown car of left-wing activists. The New York Court of Appeals, which is the New York State Supreme Court, is a little bit better, but it's still way over the top partisan. So the Supreme Court of the United States will once again have to step in and fix this egregious miscarriage of justice by this Soros-funded Manhattan DA, Alvin Bragg, Matthew Colangelo, the senior Obama and Biden political operative and hitman, and this Manhattan judge, Juan Merchan, who illegally donated to Biden's campaign and whose adult daughter, Lauren Merchan, is raising millions of dollars off of this case, requiring Judge Merchan's recusal under New York statute. And you talked about this gag order. President Trump raised this obvious evidence of his corruption, this conflict of interest by this Judge Merchan, and Judge Merchan should have recused. And that's not just Mike Davis saying that, crazy Mike Davis. A former federal Clinton judge went on Caitlin Collins' show on April 5th and said that Judge Merchan had to recuse. Instead of recusing, he retaliated against Trump with an illegal, unconstitutional gag order against him. So Trump can't even mention Lauren Merchan's name. He can't mention Matthew Colangelo's name. He can't respond to the attacks by so-called star witnesses and liars, Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen, who are trashing Trump online, raising money doing it. Trump can't even point out that the jury pool in Manhattan is 87% Biden Democrat voter, and this jury selection was further rigged by this judge and these corrupt prosecutors bouncing potential jurors who follow Trump on social media, but keeping on the people who follow Biden on social media. So the 4 people in Manhattan who follow Trump on Truth got bounced from this jury pool. This was a partisan, corrupt, rigged process, and the Supreme Court of the United States will have to step in and fix this.
It's very distressing. In another major story, Biden DOJ civil rights official Kristen Clark has been hit with a criminal referral for perjury, relating to comments that she made in her confirmation hearings. What can you tell us?
Yeah, so the Article 3 project, the group I ran, just filed 4 different complaints against this Kristen Clark, who's the Assistant Attorney General for the Civil Rights Division in the Biden Justice Department. She is a left-wing partisan hack. She is responsible for politicizing and weaponizing, persecuting Christians who are praying at abortion clinics, while she turns a blind eye to Hamas supporters who are terrorizing Jewish Americans across this country, including on college campuses and even now in their synagogues. And so we filed these 4 complaints against Kristen Clark. She testified. She had a Senate confirmation hearing, and she was asked by Senator Tom Cotton from Arkansas whether she'd ever been arrested or accused of any violent act. And she said no. Well, guess what? There was reporting that came out more than 7 weeks ago that she was, in fact, arrested for stabbing her then husband at the time. So she made false statements to the Senate. She committed perjury. But for the fact that Kristen Clark lied at her Senate confirmation hearing, there's no chance in hell that she would have been confirmed. And so now Merrick Garland has known about this evidence of false statements and perjury for more than 7 weeks, and he hasn't done a damn thing. So we filed a criminal referral with the Justice Department that the Trump 47 Justice Department can pick up and pursue on January 20th. We filed an Office of Professional Responsibility complaint, an ethics complaint with the Justice Department, and then we filed 2 bar complaints, one in New York and one in D.C. Not only should Kristen Clark lose her job, she should get disbarred and thrown in prison because, as Merrick Garland says, nobody's above the law except apparently Kristen Clark.
apparently, except for her. And I have to ask you, so this is interesting, having spent a decent amount of time at Camp David, we've been told that Joe Biden is actually doing his debate prep at Camp David. So what do you expect? I mean, what are your predictions? You know, as of late, you've seen he's really been struggling. Obama having to lead him off the stage, Jill Biden, whatever. He's the new celebrity model for Pampers. I don't know. It's not going well. But what is your expectation and what are you hearing?
I imagine that those White House doctors are going to load him up with some military grade meth or whatever the hell they gave him before the State of the Union address. And he is going to be hopped up and ready to go. He's going to come in swinging during that debate. So I want to make sure people understand we want to raise expectations, not lower expectations for Joe Biden, because I actually think, like he did with the State of the Union address, he's going to come in pretty wired up.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I think. I mean, but, you know, President Trump's been preparing. What do you think about some of the debate, you know, terms and conditions? Obviously, they'll be standing. That's good. There's no audience. The mics are going to be muted. Like, kind of tell me as you know, what you think as you kind of go through TikTok through those terms.
Look, these debates are going to be rigged for Joe Biden. You see with CNN's Jake Tapper and the other CNN hack who's running the debate, there's a long history of hostility towards President Trump. But you know what? I'm so proud of President Trump. He doesn't care. He said he'll debate President Biden anywhere, anytime, in any format. And you're going to see a stark difference between what President Trump delivered for the American people during his 4 years before Democrats destroyed our country with BLM and Antifa riots and COVID lockdowns versus how Joe Biden has destroyed our country with 10 million illegal immigrants coming into our country who are raping and murdering, record gas prices, record inflation, record interest rates. It is very hard for working class Americans, real Americans in real America, like my friends and family back in Iowa, to make ends meet under Joe Biden's America. And they are desperate for Joe Biden to get his ass thrown out of the White House and bring President Trump back to restore peace and prosperity. We didn't have wars against Russia and Ukraine. We didn't have wars in the Middle East. We had peace and prosperity under Trump.
No, without question. But, you know, I'm actually hearing some weird rumors from all over, but that, you know, Biden may, literally I heard this the other day, that Biden is going to step down in July. So after the debate, sometime around July 20th. Have you heard anything like that? He's so bad lately that I can't think that they are saying this is good for the Democratic Party. Like they would do it after our convention.
Yeah, well, look, I would say this with the Democrats, unlike Republicans who like to lose majestically like Republicans do, like the string orchestra on the Titanic going down. Democrats don't like to lose, right? They want to win, and they're not loyal to Joe Biden at all. So if Joe Biden is not going to win, they're going to throw Grandpa overboard, and they're going to throw him overboard fast.
Dude, big time. All right, and so also, I'm just waiting to see what the mainstream media, the marketing arm for Biden, is going to say and do, you know, after the debate, because they're going to call it no matter what. If Biden collapses on the stage, they're like, it was a tremendous victory for Joe Biden.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question. He could crap his pants again and fall off the stage and slobber all over himself. And CNN and the mainstream media, the liberal media, is going to say that Joe Biden beat expectations. And that's where Republicans and conservatives need to be careful, is don't lower the expectations so low for Joe Biden that if he doesn't have to change his diaper on the stage, that he's seen as winning.
Oh my God. What a sight. Wow. Can't shake that visual. Okay. So we know that obviously President Trump's going to outperform him. That's going to be good news. That's going to happen this week. We'll get the rest of the rulings. Then we've got this sentencing coming up. So talk to us about that, about July 11th, what you're expecting. Is there any kind of, last minute, et cetera, or emergency appeal or whatnot that can affect any sentence implementation? What can and should be done, and what do you expect to happen?
This is a partisan, corrupt, rigged process. This is a corrupt judge whose daughter is raising millions off of this. I have little confidence that there's going to be a fair and just result here. I think this Judge Merchan is going to sentence Trump to prison, or at least some form of confinement that makes it very hard for President Trump to campaign for the White House. Like I said, the Supreme
convention.
Court will, at the end of the day, the Supreme Court is absolutely going to reverse this criminal conviction. They haven't even told President Trump what the legal allegations are, let alone many, many other legal problems with this case. He doesn't know what he allegedly did wrong that turned bookkeeping misdemeanors that are time barred into somehow turning them into felonies. They're not even bookkeeping misdemeanors. A legal expense is a legal expense. And so I don't know what the hell else you would call it. But what's going to happen here is I think Merchan is going to impose his sentence on July 11th, and then President Trump will have two routes that he can get the judgment stopped. He can file what's called a 2241 habeas petition in the Southern District of New York, and that goes up through the federal system from the Southern District of New York to the Second Circuit to the Supreme Court of the United States, or you can file for emergency relief in New York through the Appellate Division, then the New York Court of Appeals, and then the Supreme Court of the United States. And these two initial paths are just simply holding this sentence, just pausing the sentence, stopping this judge from imposing this sentence until the appellate courts review the appeal on the merits. I think that Trump will win on either a 2241 through the federal system, or Trump's going to win at the Supreme Court if the New York Court of Appeals does not stay the execution of this judgment, this corrupt, political, partisan, rigged process by Judge Merchan and Alvin Bragg and Matthew Colangelo. There is no way in hell that a fair appellate court is going to uphold this criminal conviction. They're going to reverse this. This is going to get thrown out.
Okay, so let's talk about this, a little bit of Article 3 promotion. Where can we go to become super intelligent like you? Learn more for all of this and any other, Mike Davis crystal ball predictions for this week.
So I would say go to article3project.org, article number 3project.org. You can follow us on social media. You can donate there, but more importantly, you can take action. There's an action page, and there are several action items where we can get your viewers and listeners to contact their government officials, their members of Congress, their state governors, to take action on specific issues. Taking action is the most important thing that you can do, and it actually works and moves the needle.
All right, absolutely. Mike Davis, as always, what a pleasure. Thank you for your time today, and let's see what happens this week, okay?
Thank you very much.